again, it's parts and labor, and that parts and labor is at our factory. It does not include going to the site and removing that part and repairing and getting it repaired and then putting it back in. We do have 90 days on site after the siren system's accepted, which was the end of March. So we have 90 days that labor is going to be covered on that parts also. So I think that from that standpoint, the issue needs to be how are we going to maintain them, who's going to go out and take the responsibility to take those parts out. You can call Federal Signal and we will arrange to do it on a fee basis, or you can hire a local contractor, which would be more expeditious because local people are going to get in a lot faster than we might. So that's where I'm coming from at this point, if anyone has any further questions.
Let me just ask you, there was a statement made that there was a 5-year warranty on the sirens and stuff like that. Was that an accurate statement?
There is a 5-year warranty on the 2001 rotating siren that lasts 30 or 40 that you purchased. Okay. That's for the siren motor and the siren head on top of the pole.
The motor and the head only?
That's correct.
Okay.
2 years on everything else.
Okay. Are we approaching the end of the 2 years on the first 10 that we purchased?
We should be close because those were put in January of 08.
All right.
Well, let me ask, how many do we have with the 5-year warranty at this point? Do you have that number?
30 of them? 2001. Yeah, we have about 30 of them.
30.
That's correct.
Well, the only other question I have is, at this particular point, so it's your recommendation that we do continue to have some type of maintenance on them based on the fact that...
I wouldn't say maintenance, I would say service, because what would happen at this point is, let's say that a component went out on one of the boards, a fuse blew or something. Someone's got it. We do not cover going out to that site, so you need to pay someone to go out to that site, check and find out what the problem is, and then replace the defective part. The defective part is covered, and any repair to that part is covered. But the travel to and from the site is not covered.
Okay, I'd like to hear from Director Lewis now about this.
And I concur with Mr. Plant. Basically, the maintenance of the sirens in the areas can be done by a maintenance department. That could be something that they could do. And basically, that only requires cutting the grass and things of that nature. But I agree that we do need some type of service agreement. And my recommendation basically would be just to do an RFP for a service agreement for the one sirens and go from there. Because, as I stated, the maintenance around the areas, and you have to keep in mind also, a lot of these units are concrete poles. So, and that's my recommendation.
So your recommendation is going to be that we do a RFP and send it out for on an as-needed basis, or what?
Basically a service contract, yes.
Service contract. So are you further saying that we need to disregard the contract that we currently have?
Basically, yes, sir. Now, how do we include that? And Mr. Plant just mentioned the fact that we still have some older sirens, and we still have to have someone to go out and make sure that they're operating or when they're not operating. Do we include both that together, or would that be separate?
I would do the same contract, because whoever is awarded that contract, one thing I think you need to make sure is that they have been trained and they have a certificate of certification from federal to know how to maintain all of the equipment. The other thing that you need to remember in looking at different companies is that you also have a Motorola trunk operating system operating within the siren system. that needs to be incorporated. So you need someone that knows the radio aspect of it, that knows the technical aspect of it as far as federal signal is concerned. Because the radio is probably the most subject to getting knocked out by lightning or other power surges or other damage. And that's a critical component. But if you'll remember, on the old sirens, a lot of the problems we had was a low band operating system. The radios weren't operating. So if you don't keep the radio system operating, that Jimmy doesn't get his report that he's got a bad siren, and the sirens will not activate. Now, as far as the older sirens, and I need Jimmy or someone else that's familiar with the system, I think we're only maintaining 7 of the older sirens in the current system. Is that correct?
2001.
5. Right.
Well, let me hopefully make a suggestion, so that we get with, Mr. Planter and find out exactly what we need, and possibly come back in the next board meeting, and we'll do it all exactly what we need. Right now, I'm not a technician, so, but you may know, and then come back and get a motion as to exactly what we need to go out for.
There are 5 that are now operational. There are additional 3 or 4 that also need to be included on that. These are the older ones we're talking about.
That's what I'm
Over
saying.
2001. Right.
Give us an opportunity to put all that information together, then we'll know exactly what we're going out to get.
The whole entire purpose, Mr. President, and I agree with you, is to make sure that it's important that people know that we have been transparent and that we are going to be transparent as it relates to what we're doing. And I think that it is a good suggestion that we do go ahead and go out for an RFP, and we do it at the next board meeting, and that will give us an opportunity to get this taken care of in a most expedient way by doing it that way. Mr. Plant will be able to help us, and along with working with Mr. Lewis, they come back and make their recommendation so we can go ahead and move forward.
Yeah, because other things that we need to include in any RFP, I'm adamant that every siren should be inspected every year. And not so much for maintenance, but you've got other issues. You've got the way the head is attached, the bolts still in place if they come loose, because we got to worry about winds during storms. There's just a lot of grounding system still intact, because if it's corrupted in any way, that's going to make us more subject to lightning damage. So an annual inspection and batteries and the chargers, make sure they're not corroded. And then starting in about 4 years, you're going to have to start factoring in replacing batteries, which that should be part of the long-term contract.
Okay, Ms. Campbell.
I don't think it was cleared up whether or not we should request services. We should retain a company to provide services or request services on as needed basis.
My suggestion was to request someone, when we consider as-need basis, I feel we want to get provided with the immediate services that we need. Say, for instance, you have something that goes on and you want to call a company and you need that service immediately. It might take them a month or so to do, but I figured if we would initiate a contract, then that would give us the flexibility of having immediate services provided to us.
Okay. Okay, then,
So what they're going to do is come back.
come back and what I would hope that what the 2 of you all would do is come back with we'll know more about what we need and come back and we can put that into the contract and go out. I mean, you put that into RFP. Go ahead.
No, I just have another question.
Okay, go ahead.
I just have one other question that we're finished with this particular item.
Yes, unless there's some other questions from board.
Did you, I forgot to ask you earlier, did you show any damage at Lake Hyco?
The Lake Hyco area, the storm, from all indication, it blew down a tree at the power services property. But when it reached that area, the Lake Highco area, apparently the storm went up and went over it. And there was no damage there at the immediate Lake Highco Park area. It went across the street.
Other than some trees down.
Other than a few trees down, that's it. No structural damage that was indicated in the immediate Lake Highco area.
Okay.
Mr. Lewis, that was another matter I asked you to look into, while Mr. Platt is here, so when you get back with the, get back to Garden, please.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Okay. You go ahead with your agenda. Thank you, Mr. Platt. Thank you.
Mr. President, members of the board, the first item that I have on the agenda is information reported to me where the city of Byron, they're requesting approval for recurring expenditures for Byron's 911 telephone line for monthly payment. As you can recall, the city of Byron submitted a request to the E911 Council several months ago, a couple of months ago. And this information was forwarded to the Board of Supervisors. And in that request, there was an approval for this request in the amount of $132,928.58 from E911 funds for different items that the city of Byron had requested. In that request, also, there was payment for E911 telephone system, AT&T monthly service charges for monthly fees and for one monthly fee, and I think it was a yearly fee included in that, if I'm not mistaken. Those funds have already been sent to the city of Byron. So basically now they're asking that the county renegotiate their contract with AT&T to include the city of Byron for 911 telephone services. And this is basically what I have here for the board.
Well, we have and I see one of the council lady here from Byron. We have somewhat some mixed emotions mixed signals from Byron as to exactly what the request is versus what the board of supervisors have issued to them. I received a call from a TV station on the weekend telling me that Byron had rejected the radios that we've ordered and decided to go another direction. Now, maybe I should ask the question, is that a true statement?
We did order approved to pay radios this past Thursday. Yes,
In
sir.
other words, you no longer want the radios that we ordered.
We have ordered radios. Is that not right, Brad?
Yes, ma'am.
The board, in the last board meeting, I believe, we had ordered 60 radios upon Byron's request. You asked,
It was 3015.
45 radios. And we approved, the board approved those radios. Those radios made it here in 4 days, and we can attest to that in 4 days. The next day after they was delivered, North Star went down and discussed with you all the installation of it, when in fact we were told that you wanted to make some changes even after the radio. Those changes came back to this board, and we made those changes. I'm not sure exactly, some of y'all may remember in the last meeting where we made all the changes that you all had requested. And the board have, at that point, given the authority to go ahead and make those changes for you all. And as soon as those changes are made, deliver them to you. So my question is, in that these radios have already been purchased by 911 funds. I guess my question is, how do you tax the taxpayers for additional radios when in fact they're already ordered, they're here, ready to be installed? We're in the process of making the changes, and I have here a chronological outline as exactly, we've done exactly what Byron wants, and we definitely don't want to work with City of Byron. So either you, either if you want to come and explain to us exactly where we are with this, we would be happy to try to accommodate you if all possible.
Mr. President, members of the board. I'm not,
Go right ahead.
I'm sorry.
State your name and
I'm Tricia Crockwell, I'm the dispatch supervisor with the city of Byron. I did not come prepared to talk about radios today. That's, the chief would like all questions referred to him in reference to the radios. The only thing that I came for today was to request to be a PSAP.
okay.
So I don't have anything further with the radios to discuss. Chief Thompson was unable to be here today, and since the PSAP was the only thing that was on the agenda, he sent me to talk about it.
Well,
Yeah, I'd like to make the motion that they be approved, that the city of Bauer be approved to become a PSAP.
okay.
And just for the terminology, or for the sake of terminology, it stands for Public Safety Answering Point, which actually will allow them to receive
Right.
911 calls in the city of Byron. So I so move.
Okay. It's been moved, proper second. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Now, let me just ask on that, Mr. On the telephone and all that's related to that, have we made sure we have not, before we should have, what do we do on the additional telephone lines and all that they're asking, AT&T?
I have the quotes from AT&T to get all my 911 equipment in and installed on June 1st on. And they're willing to work with us on it, and all our internet are set up, and Supervisor Brown was talking about our ESN, which is our emergency service number, the last meeting that I was in. We have our ESN set up, everything we've been working on since I started on December 13th, it's all ready to go. The only reoccurring charge that you're gonna have is somewhere around $5,780 per month out of the 911 funds. It also pays the city of Jackson and the city of Clinton's 911 phone services. That'll be the reoccurring charges. I believe it's $36,630 for the initial fee for the 911 services to be set up.
Now, Mr. Attorney,
Mr. President, I actually have a meeting scheduled with the attorney of the city of Byron to discuss this issue in more detail. But my understanding is with the initial request that was submitted by the city of Byron, the startup of the 911 telephone lines, in addition to 1 year of service, was already approved by the board, and those funds have been delivered to Byron. Subsequently, there was a request by AT&T to amend the contract to include the city of Byron as a contract between Hines County and all other municipalities where the 911 telephone monthly services are paid. Now, the question I believe that needs to be answered, and hopefully Mr. Scanlon and I will have an opportunity to confirm what each governing body would like to do, is whether Byron wishes to be placed on the contract, like all other municipalities in the county, and have Hines County pay the recurring service charge. Or since Byron has been given the funds already, whether they wish to establish a separate contract from Hines County with AT&T to have their services performed. Now, my recommendation would be to have Byron be treated just like every other municipal body, in that they are actually placed on the contract with Hines County. However, since Byron has been given those funds, it would require the city of Byron to actually pay back the funds to Hines County for those purposes.
And then we pay those
Correct.
fees. But I was of the opinion, and the reason I asked the question